All right, welcome everybody. Thanks for joining us for our philosophy group. It is Tuesday night, 8 p.m. and in Eastern Standard Time. It's 7 in Mexico, 9 in Brazil. And we are discussing and reading D.D. Palmer's 1914, The Chiropractor. We're on the moral and religious duty of a chiropractor, and we're doing some reading. We're reading and we're discussing, okay? Feel free to ask questions, and there are no, wrong answers, and you know what? There's no right. So express yourself, express your understanding. The more we ask questions, the better things become, okay? Okay, I'm gonna start. Everybody ready? I do not propose to change chiropractic, either in its science, art, or philosophy, into a religion. The moral and religious duty of a chiropractor are not synonymous with the science, art, and philosophy of chiropractic. There is a vast difference between a theological religion and a religious duty. Between the precepts, the practice of religion, and that of chiropractic, a person may be a conscious devotee of any theological creed and yet be a strict, upright, exalted, principled practitioner of chiropractic. Now that sort of sums it all up for a lot of people that have issues with chiropractic being a religion or people mentioning things that way. And what are your thoughts? Anybody have any input or thoughts there? Nothing? So, all the things that people stress about chiropractic and a religion, and he mentions religion and theology and God and all these things that are maybe difficult for people to understand or express. What he's talking about really is our duty to serve mankind and our duty to care for people and to have some morality. If I see someone trip on the curb and I go over and ask them, may I help you? Are you okay? To me, that's a duty of a human being. And if I see someone that is subluxated, or I see somebody that I know is ill and I can help them, to me, that's my duty. That's my religious duty, as really my spiritual duty to my soul and myself and my spirit, that my morals say, I'm going to help you. That's where I get from all of this, right? He sums it up in that line. That's why I wanted to read it again. We read it last week. I wanted to read it again because it's a sore spot for people. They don't understand what D.D. really meant. And I just made a post the other day about a chiropractic and what was happening in the Midwest of the United States of America. At that time, the Seventh-day Adventists just came out of Michigan. The Mormons had just moved to Utah. We had a lot of spiritual growth out of the Midwest at that time, and spiritualism was growing in popularity. And when D.D., he was around all those things. He's trying to put things in words for everyone really to understand, and just growing the philosophy of chiropractic. Pasquale Sarasoli, one of my mentors, he was impressed on us, that realized that he was just really starting to understand chiropractic himself and how to put it into words. So that's what I got out of that. Anybody have any comments or want to ask anything or have any of their own input?
So I think it's hard to get it on your the first time that you read it. I was at the beginning, I was trying to understand it as a religion because he was using that word. But now that you put it on that, like with that example about when you see someone that is that needs help, and you have like this ability or this gift, of course you're gonna want to go there and help that person, right? So I think you put an example that was like very clear to get all of that, because, well, I need to read it several times in order for me to understand it. So that was a very good example.
And, you know, just even for the people that you're going to care for, making simple examples for them. I'll go back to Pasquale again. He said, speak in parallel so people understand things. It makes it easier for them, right? Tell a little story. All right. Anybody else? All right. Should I move on? Chiro religio, he wrote. Chiropractic religion. The religion of chiropractic and the religious duty of a chiropractor are one and the same. Willard Carver, D.C., asked, do you believe it wise to denominate chiropractic as a religion? This question is equal to asking a physician, do you believe it wise to denominate medicine, not the practice as a religion? To denominate medicine as the practice of religion. Webster's Dictionary, latest edition, dated 1910, gives near the bottom of page 1801, fifth column, the Latin phrase religio medici, meaning a physician's religion. Has not a chiropractor as much right to a religion as a practitioner of medicine? It's not chiro religio or consistent with comprehensible as a religio medicio. You know, what he's saying is, don't we have value of something that we can truly believe in? Like the medics is a philosophy. What do you guys get out of that, or should I keep reading? I'll keep reading. Do you believe it wise to denominate chiropractic? Okay. To denominate, it to name, designate, specify, or characterize. Whereas I expressed a desire to rename the science, art, and philosophy of chiropractic. In what sentence have I designated chiropractic by any other decisive title than that by which it is known? What he's saying is he never called it a religion. In what paragraph have I specified or characterized chiropractic as a religion? The science, art, and philosophy of chiropractic is one thing. The moral and religious duty of a chiropractor is a different proposition. The founder, the fountainhead, the creator, the originator, the developer, the one who named the science, art, and philosophy of vertebral adjusting, says emphatically, it is not wise to denominate chiropractic by any other name or title than the one by which it is known the world over. That's chiropractic. Anybody have any input? I hear crickets, but I don't hear anybody saying anything. All right, I'll keep reading. F.W. Carlson, D.C., writes, the religious chiropractic is absurd. I fully agree with Dr. Carlin. To say or think that science, the art, or philosophy of chiropractic, or that chiropractic, the three combined, as a religion, is really absurd and ridiculous. He also says all religions are more or less bound upon superstition. There is nothing superstitious about chiropractic. That's the other man saying that. He's right. All methods of treating diseases, as well as all forms of religion, excuse me, I lost my place. All forms of religion based on superstition. Chiropractic is a science, as an art, the philosophy thereof, also the moral and duty of chiropractors are free of superstition. They are based upon the knowledge of principles and facts. Anybody have any wisdom to share? All right, guys, I'm not going to do it all by myself.
I'll say something. Abe.
All right.
He, if you look at the first book he wrote in 1910, D.D. Plowman in the beginning said, he goes, I'm not even ready to write this book. It was still such, by that point, it was only 15 years. He's only been around for 15 years. And a lot of those things you just read, where he was attacked constantly from day one. And he's just trying to answer all these people who just were relentless. I mean, he got arrested, as you know. He had several court things. But his whole thing was, like I said earlier, he wanted to know what is life. He wanted to serve people and take our where people are right now and allow us to raise our consciousness. And that's what chiropractic, that's what I get out of him. He was saying that. And he had to take a lot of time to try and answer all these people to get him off his back. That's what I look at it with a lot of these things. He was a strong dude. He was a strong man to hold up, and God bless him. That's why we're still here. And that's it.
Imagine what he went through.
Yeah.
Amazing. And to hold on to it. Veronica, you were to say something?
Yeah. Well, also it sounds like he's making it clear that he's using those words, but he's not trying to say that it is a religion. As Ryan was saying, he's just trying to share and express himself and do it in a way that it is not confused that we're trying to do other things other than chiropractic. Well, and of all the paragraphs that you just read, it only seems that he's trying to make it clear that it is not a religion, but he's trying to get his ideas through. I don't know if I'm saying it right.
Yeah, you absolutely are. I get it. We understand you. Anybody else?
Yeah. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Also, I think because at this time he was willing to raise a profession, so as much as he could not talk about religion, and people are getting to jail because of it, right? And then as much as he could talk scientifically, it would be better, right?
Yeah. Well, he's using terms that he can use, really, of in a way, really telling the chiropractor, you have a duty. You've got to get up and care for these people. They're being assaulted with, they had vaccines back then, and drugs and all these things. And bringing this to the people and telling the chiropractor, get up and take care of the people. They need you. And not everybody hears that. That's the way I see it, is you've got to go and take care of these people. They need you very badly. So, and I think using that term really is, it hits people in the heart. And it's a powerful word. And it makes you really want to jump to something, right? Yeah. Anybody else? Okay. Want me to move on? I'll move on. Okay. Lost my face. Here it is. There is a moral and religious science of chiropractic, the moral and the religious philosophy of chiropractic, a moral and religious responsibility attached to the practice of chiropractic, the moral and religious liberty granted to chiropractors by the Constitution of the United States of America. Also, the moral theology of chiropractic, known in the California medical art as religion. Very interesting. Morally, chiropractors are in duty bound to help humanity physically. Religiously, they are required to render spiritual service toward God. Now that's a big statement right there. The universal intelligence. I'm going to read that over again. Morally, chiropractors are in duty bound to help humanity physically. Religiously, they are required to render spiritual service toward God, the universal intelligence, by relieving mankind of their fetters, adjusting the tension frame of the nerve system, the physical lines of communication to and from spirit. I'm going to stop there. Okay, anybody have any input there?
So we have two different jobs, right? The one that you were talking about, like we can do something to help someone in need that is like a physical need. Like it could be if we saw someone with a back pain, well, we will be glad to help them, right? But also, well, that will be the part that it says your moral duty. But then there's this other part, because I hadn't thought about that like in two separate ways, like the moral one and then the religious one. And the other one is what we have been talking about, that is the most important part about chiropractic, that if we can help people like get that connection and express themselves like fully. So this is like the other part. We can help them in two different ways, right? And if we're able to, then we should do that.
Anybody have any other input? Yeah, Veronica, I like what you're saying. Anybody else? I'm going to say what I'm thinking right now. I was listening to my friend Sigafus, and today in the car, I was listening to his CD, and he asked me once a long time ago, and chiropractors often use spirit and innate interchangeably. And he was saying, why is it important to teach people about innate or about their spirit within? And someone brought it up to me recently. What was your answer to Sigafus? Because he recorded it. And I realized it's hope. To help people realize they're bigger and stronger than they've been told. That they have something greater within them that is always working for them to be better. Your spirit in you right now is not working against you. It's working for you, and your body is healing the best it can and functioning at its best for you all the time and giving someone hope. And that spiritual enlightenment or understanding, we can call it religious because we're talking maybe about spirit and God, but helping people understand God is not separate from you, but it is you. And that's what we use as innate, educated, innate, and universal. And innate being God within and expressing life within you. Without that, you're just the material. And if I can give just a little story, on Friday, I had a woman come into the office. She called me. She was one of the first people I ever saw in my office. And stage 4 metastatic cancer, all through her bones. And I said, absolutely, I'll meet you at my office. She drove 2 hours to come. I came on my time off, and I adjusted her. I didn't ask her for money. It's not the important part, but I cared for her. And I said, come back again on Friday, this Friday coming up, and I'll adjust her all day. I said, hang out. I'll adjust you all day long. And it was my duty. I didn't say, do you have a back pain? Can you bring me some x-rays? It was yes, because I know what we're doing is right. So putting this into the practical, right? That's what I try and think of sometimes. But that's what I got out of it. All of it is hope for the person that might not have hope. Does that make any sense?
I'd like to share a quick story. Hey,
go ahead.
About 8 years ago, this guy comes in my office in a wheelchair. I never met him before. He was about 48 years old. He said 9 months earlier, he fell and he fractured a bunch of bones in his neck. He went and he got surgery, fusions. He said he was unable to walk since then. So he hadn't walked in 9 months. So to me, I always ask God to show me what to do. So I saw it like a movie in my head. That's how I take care of it, like a movie, and I have to follow it exactly. So he comes in, I did the movie I saw in my head exactly. I look at him, I go, put your hands on my shoulder. This guy's like 6'2", I'm 5'7", so I go, I'm a perfect height for you to put your hands on my shoulders. So I go, now stand up. And he stood up, I go, now walk. And he was walking while holding on to me. So went out to the waiting room, there's a bunch of people there, and his mother and his sister were there, and they all freaked out. And then he started to walk on his own, and he's been walking ever since. He moved, but he kept coming in. But for me, everything we just had up until this point is illustrated. But I didn't say a word to him because I have that inside of me, and people can sense that from me, that this guy has something that's going to help me, and they'll find you. To me, that's why that lady called you and drove 2 hours. So it's important for me as a chiropractor to have that inside of me, and that will help. I believe it just gives that person they feel safe where they can grasp on and have a stronger connection to God, and to me, the Holy Spirit, they'll allow it to flow through them. And that's how that man got up and walked. As Pasquale would say, I zapped him. And that's it.
Anyone else? Stephen, you had your hand up.
Yeah. Do you guys believe what DD believed, that the adjusting of the tension frame of that the nervous system is the physical line of communication to and from the spirit? That the nervous system is the physical line of communication to and from the spirit. I don't know about that.
Are you asking a question?
Yeah.
I tell people your neural system is God's internet. That's what I say. You're an antenna for God is within you, and that's the internet communicating inside you. I absolutely believe it is. It's the physical form that's able to communicate with inside of us. Without the nerves, you're a rock. Period. That's what I feel. Anyone else? Does that have any clarity, Stephen? Let's discuss it.
What else do you all have to say about that? That the nervous system is the communication between the non-physical and the physical. I don't know.
Yeah. Anybody? How about Gustavo? We don't know you yet. I'm glad to have you with us. Marina, what do you think? We can move on, though. Oh, yeah.
Brian, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree with Haig. I think to be a human, you have to have the material, and to be able to communicate, it would be through the system. There isn't another way. Once you be in another form, then maybe you can connect someone in another way. But to be a human, you have to communicate. You have to have a nervous system for that, to communicate with the material.
I think any being, honestly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Anyone else?
I think if the nervous system is not the link, what is it then?
That's a good question. That's a really good question.
He said, if it's not, what is?
Yeah.
What about thought?
Where do thoughts come from? Remember, we read that in the last book. That was a chapter that was very important. But we didn't have an answer. Yeah, what about thought? But where are thoughts communicated from?
Exactly.
Well, if we're thinking about energy, right, or the Akashic record where all things have happened and all knowledge is known, it takes that energetic vibration in some way and it's decoded by the central nervous system, maybe if you want to look at it in that sense, right? But think how much, what happens at the synapse. I mean, there's a gap. And then, in the synaptic cleft, there's some juice that comes out of the neurotransmitter. What in the world happens through that gap? I mean, I think the synapse is one of the most amazing things in the world. That space in there, to me, is God. That's where really the magic happens. That little bit of space. Well, I mean, it's much smaller than that, but that's where really I see the magic in all the central nerve system. Some juice coming out of there, and we can do this, and our heart pumps, and we digest food. I don't know. I just think it's magical. Which is, I mean, it's magical in my educated, ignorant human eyes, right? Because it seems so amazing, but it's happening billions and billions of times a moment, right? Anybody else have any input?
Well,
Well, I think all is connected, right? So we were talking about the nervous system, and then we talked about thought and where does thought comes from. And then the last time we were talking about inspiration and how it came from in many different ways. So it's all connected, right? So inspiration, then comes thought, and then we transmit that information through the nervous system, and we do different things that maybe create some form of inspiration to other people.
There is the triune of life that Reggie wrote about, and it's called, there's intelligence, and there's matter, and there's force. What is that force? What is that triune? There's the intelligence is non-physical. Matter is physical. What is force? Is that the nerve system? These are questions. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think force is the vibration, the tone you put in, like Haig said about the synapses, everything is vibration, and it puts life into the nervous system, into everything. Don't know, sorry guys.
No, that's awesome. That's right. I feel, for me, that's right on target. Chiropractic is based upon tone. I think that sums it up. That's really very, very pertinent. Go ahead, Brian.
D.D. Palmer, life is the expression of tone, and in that sentence is the basic principle of chiropractic, is what he said. But one of the things is, I learned from Pasquale, is like, we're really beyond all of this stuff. He's like, you can't be thinking about these things while you're serving someone. He's like, you just get on there, you get in that pause, and you just do it. And it's amazing how that man who came in my office was told he would never walk again. So when he got a little bit stronger, he went back to those doctors who told him that, and he cursed them out. And he walked out of it, and he said, how dare you tell someone they can't do something? How dare you? And to me, that seems to be what that world's about. Don't and can't. And chiropractic's about all things are possible with God. And that's chiropractic for me. And it's really beyond, I don't know. For me, we're floating beyond all this talk about the nerves and synapses and stuff. And we're just getting right to it. When that spirit comes in, whatever needs to be healed up will heal up. And hey, I know you've seen it, and I've seen it. And by the way, some chiropractors won't take care of people in wheelchairs. I know this because they come to me and they tell me that. Just take care of them like anyone else. You'll just know what to do. If you really want to help them, you got to do things a little bit differently. That's true, but you'll figure it out. I was at Haig's house once. He adjusted someone while they're in their wheelchair, and I've done that too. So all things are possible with God, and that's for me what chiropractic does for people, and I see it every day, and it's a beautiful, beautiful thing to be a chiropractor.
And looking deeper into ourselves,
Yeah.
it's not that you said we don't need it, but we really have to have taking this time for introspection.
Yeah.
You were gifted to have Pasquale.
Yeah.
I was gifted to have Pasquale, and to have mentors. It's up to us to bring, I feel, to bring this thought to more people now.
Yeah.
That it is my duty as a mentee of our mentor to teach what we have been learned, about what we have been taught, and bringing this into a perspective for students and chiropractors to start thinking this way, where when they meet a challenge, to feel, I know I'm doing the right thing. Because this woman that came to me with stage 4 cancer in her bones, she went to chiropractors all over Orlando. Nobody would touch her. And I said, yes, I will meet you there as fast as I can. How quickly can you get there? And it wasn't only the adjustment. Think about that. It was that energetic exchange of love,
Yeah.
of caring and hope and God. We prayed for a moment. We didn't have to do a long prayer. We said, well, you're healed right now in this moment. I don't need to wait the signs. She said, I'm done with tests. I didn't send her for an x-ray. I'm done with tests. I'm never getting scanned again. I don't want anything else. No more chemo. I'm over it. And they said, okay, you're healed right now. This is it. So we have a duty. And that's where I really am that was so poignant, Brian. Thank you. And Stephen, because thinking deeply about these things, because it's not just something to pass over. But then when you go in to serve the people, I don't have to think about it.
Yeah.
I'm not bringing, like Brian said, I'm not bringing, okay, I've got to think about this, and I've got to say a prayer, and I've got to stand on one foot, take off my hat, whatever it is. It's just there in us. It becomes us. And what Brian would say, you're structured for it.
Yeah.
You're structured. This is structure determines function. Am I right?
Yeah.
It changes your structure. Do you guys have that in Mexico? Do you say structure determines function? No?
Nope.
Well, now you heard it.
I also believe that you can't take the philosophy out of chiropractic and just limit it to the adjusting of the neural, what did he call it? The tonal, how did he refer to it? Is it skeletal tonal adjusting? To me, you can't leave out the philosophy.
That's right.
And the love. And when you talk about the link, the philosophy is part of of chiropractic.
It's a triune.
It's a triune. Yeah.
Art, philosophy, and science.
Yeah.
And a lot of these scientists insult chiropractic and all that. And Pasquale, his professor, a guy named J. Robinson Werner, he wrote a bunch of books. And he says, if science can't explain chiropractic, too bad for science.
That's right. I like that. That's so great. Anybody have anything else?
Well,
Go on.
There is a picture of a man painting himself, a self-portrait, and he's pointing at his picture of himself, of his portrait. He's going, that's who I am. And that's what science is.
Yeah.
I think the guy's name is Kastrup, Kastrup. If you Google him, he says it's disconnected. Science is a way to explain how things work, but it's not the experience. It's not, it has practical value. But when you paint a picture of yourself and you point to it and go, that's you, no, it's removed. And so science is useful, but it's not reality. It's removed. It's symbols. And what we do in our office is we're living in that lovely state as we adjust. And that's why I love it.
Can I ask Stephen something?
Yeah.
Stephen, what do you mean by the experience of it?
You know, it's not able to be explained extrinsic, outside. It's inside. Our whole thing, inside out, above, down, inside out. That's not an explanation. It's not an observation. Okay, so I'm going to be having an experience of something, and you can be looking at electrodes on your screen, and you, being the scientist, can see it. But that's not really the same. All experience is an inner thing. Science is an external thing. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, an experience, once you've experienced something, you cannot unexperience it. Yeah. And I just talked about this is, you know, when you get an adjustment, you'll never really be the same again. You can't go back to the time you were before you were adjusted once you've been served chiropractic.
And once you, the experiences, they're all coded in us. They're coded in our souls. And a lot of people have experiences they didn't really, it could have been something that they felt was scary or something, an abusive, something bad happened to them, and they haven't worked through it fully. Now, not allowing them to move forward in their progression in life. And I believe chiropractic helps that person work through those experiences so they can process all of it and then be done and then move on. They never lose the experience. It's always coded in there, but think how people use that experience. And some people, it scares them and they're afraid to go back to that to process it. And we help them feel safe enough to process it. And then that's really where people heal up in all sorts of things that we've never heard. Someone comes in for one thing, a few months later, they tell me how depressed they were and how much better they're feeling. I didn't know at the time. I guess whatever I helped them do was to let them work through that. And that's powerful. To me, that's D.D. Palmer talking about the physical and the spiritual together.
I don't know how long you guys have been practicing, but there used to be a guy in Florida, Stanley Kaplan.
Yeah.
And he would do these things called how to assign a permanency. Everything's permanent. This conversation I'm having with you is permanent. And it changes the universe. But these guys focus on permanently impaired. We focus on permanently the opposite of impaired.
I like that. Yeah. All right. Anybody else? That's good stuff. You know, when you're just saying people come in for things, they don't even know what's going to happen. Just the other day, one of my son's kindergarten teacher, she's coming into the office, which I love that because I know they're thinking more clearly when they're taking care of my children. But she said, I'm going to go see my endocrinologist. I've got type 1 diabetes. I've had my whole life, and my blood sugar's been perfect every time I take it now. And I says, would my doctor think I'm nuts if I tell her it was because from chiropractic? And I said, yeah, she probably will. But your body is healing, and they don't understand chiropractic. You can't get wisdom and science from the person that has no idea what they're going to be talking about. That's why that's another reason why we do this. That's all good stuff. Anybody?
So the idea that the physical lines of communication, the nervous system is the physical lines of communication to and from the spirit. I would say, yeah, among other factors that maybe are not yet discovered.
Well, that's a whole other thing. Intellectually understanding things we have no idea about, of course. I'd say probably 99% of the things out there we don't even know exist yet. Yeah, that's great. Absolutely. I think so.
You know, they're talking about nerve impulses, action potentials. Preceding that is this thing called sound. Have you heard about that?
The sound wave.
Huh?
Yeah, it's a wave.
Yeah, what's with that? And can you change the neuroskeleton with a thought, with a kind word? I believe so.
You know, Masamune Emoto, he did the messages of water, and looking at the crystals with the, you know, how, you know, words have so much power on the water. You know, think about that with the, let me think about this. Can we have that communication without the nerves that you were talking about? That was my question.
Yeah.
Marina, go ahead.
Also, I was thinking before we even have a nervous system, when we are formate, how do you say that, being built?
Yeah.
How does that work? I think it's through the vibration between cells, so maybe not necessarily the nervous system has to be there in order to be that net to God, that link.
Can I tell you, Marina, that was deep.
This is, I had a question and I brought it out because when I share this with other aspiring people, somehow the group helps me understand. I asked the question and I'm getting more understanding. Thank you. It's a wonderful discussion we're having here.
That's that's what discussion's for, right? Getting these, I mean, these are existential things, but they really mean a lot. And what Marina just said, you know, I didn't even think about that, of cell division of this beautiful baby growing, because the first thing I think of is the notochord. Oh yeah, it's the nerve system. And then she brings in cell division. How are these cells communicating? And then we get into deeper existential thought. I mean, that's just amazing. Absolutely amazing. Yeah. Anybody else?
If you go to page 15 of the 1910 book, it's that quote about how chiropractic has the seat of honor and distinction.
Yep.
And that Didi spoke about. And then when one day we have a more refined understanding of chiropractic, he hopes to be the medium through which we can use it to help the denizens of the earth. And by doing this, I believe that's what we're doing.
Absolutely. Because this goes, you know, we're going to be putting subtitles in Spanish and we're going to put them in Portuguese. Okay. And with those two languages, really, we can cover the earth. It is of service. Young chiropractors coming out and digging a little deeper than just technique or moving a bone, where we're digging deeper and understanding chiropractic at its essence. And that is absolutely, I think, important. And it helped me serve chiropractic to the people. And like Brian said, I'm not thinking about it coming to the table. Same thing, I'm not thinking about technique or anything. And if anything, and actually I learned this from Brian and Pasquale, is that you'll be told what you're connecting spirit to spirit. That body might not know chiropractic, but that spirit does.
Yeah.
And it tells me, do it this way. And I say, okay, I don't have to think about it anymore. And I do this first, or I go and put SOT blocks on some pregnant mom, which I use twice a year, but I get a message to do it. And, you know, that is coming from the clarity when we talk about what you said before, Veronica, was going from the physical to the innate or the spiritual, and an acting is the next step of taking action. And you and I talked about that before, or we all have before. It's that action of saying, okay. And that's getting the educated mind out of the way of the things that I think I know. Well, this worked before with other people, and I'll do it this way instead. And B.J. Palmer actually said, you might adjust somebody and their leg pain goes away with the first adjustment. Another person comes in with the same pain. It might take you 5 adjustments. Another person comes in with the same thing. Nothing changes at all with them. Because we're doing what we think we should know from educated mind. And it's the inspiration through the material to the action. And I'm not just saying going in blindly, being really well educated in who we are, what we do, and how well we do it. To me, that's all very important. Of course, you guys know you've been to adjusting with me a lot. And that's, for me, I think it's paramount for this whole profession, is to understand it all. Anybody else?
Oh. Well, what comes to mind is that when I make a contact and I'm on the bone, I take out the tissue slack, and I'm on there, and then I just vacate my intellect because I don't know when I should adjust, but I wait. And it's become a habitual visitation now of going into nowhere, and then I'm adjusted as I adjust. I don't know how to describe it, but it's more in the heart than it is up in here. I'm not thinking, I'm allowing to be used. It's amazing to hesitate before you make the adjustment and ask God, tell me when. I'm yours now. And I'm giving up control. I'm going on automatic pilot. And there's also, maybe we need to talk about heart math too. You know, that whole institute is talking about there's communication of that down in the heart also that comes to play. So it's not just the adjustment of the neuroskeleton. That's included. As Veronica says, it's all connected.
When we take that one step back, because the heart math people, they're looking at one thing, right? They can measure it 6 feet out. Where does the heart get its life? What tells the heart to put its energy out, and how does it decipher it in? It's still the neural system to me. And that neural system is unimaginable. And I remember I loved it. I loved dissection class. It's gross and all those things. But once you touch that spinal cord and it just dissolves, it falls apart in your hand, just the slightest touch, realize how delicate and the amazingness of that beautiful neural system, how it communicates, which all of our organs bud from it. When you see the notochord, the budding, I used to show these in my classes in the office, of everything budding from the neural system, the kidneys and the liver and the heart. It's all one. None of it's separated, even the bones. And the resonance inside the trabeculae, I think what that does, and even how the ribs are, is to vibrate that out farther as being a larger antenna. What do antennas look like? They look just like our ribs. And vibrating to be able to receive and to give at a very amazing tone that we can't even measure in a real world because we're not smart enough. I think you're right on target, Stephen.
I'm not sure that the nerve system comes before the heart development either. I've been hearing this from another chiropractor, and he's saying what they're finding out is that the whole idea is that the brain and nervous system develop first. Now they're finding out possibly that the brain, part of the brain is down in the heart also. You know, you guys, on Netflix, there's this wonderful show called My Octopus Friend. And it was saying, this freaking octopus, you guys, has like 2,000 tentacles, all controlled individually. And it's saying that 2/3 of its cognition is outside of its brain. It's a real chiropractic movie. My Octopus Friend on
Or is
Netflix.
it Teacher? Octopus Teacher? I think that's, or Friend. Maybe it's Friend. I watched it. It's really good.
Teacher. Or I don't remember, but it's My Octopus something.
I want to go back to that other part, though. We want to look at our bodies as being particles, that we're parts. The reality is we're one whole. It's not the heart. It's not the lungs. It's not the foot. It's all of it. We are all one big giant thing. And, you know, and then if we look at that vibration even bigger, all of us being connected as one as well.
Wow.
So it's not that nature, you know, we don't live alone. We're living with the vibration of all things around us. So we're not particles of things. We're not eyeballs. We're one. A uni being.
Yeah.
All right. Guys, it's 8:57. We've gotten some really awesome stuff. I really loved this tonight. And does anybody have any closing things they want to communicate?
I just want to say one thing. The other thing that we do as chiropractors, I've been a chiropractor for 24 years now. And I've taken care of a lot of pregnant women and seen a lot of babies come in through this world. It's a wonderful thing. But I've also helped people on the other end when it's their time to make their go to the next plane, the next level, or pass away, whatever terms you want to use. And that's a very powerful experience too. And it's like a rite of passage. And what an honor it is for someone to come, even though we all know, all right, they're pretty much going, that they come to you and still want to be served. And some people are like, well, why do you keep doing that? That's not going to help them. So, well, they asked me, so that's why I'm doing it. And they're getting something out of it. And maybe we'll talk about that the next time.
We'll talk about that next time. Because let's start there. Because that's big stuff about, we talk about life and transition, I think is a very powerful thing. Brian, write a little note for us. I'm going to write it down too. All I have is crayons.
I just want to say it's an honor to be around you guys. Thank you. To be around such, like, priests, high priests and priestesses. Thank you.
Thank you. That is absolutely, I feel honored to have you all here myself. All right. That was a beautiful evening. Thank you, everybody. We're going to translate this into Spanish, and then we're going to translate also into Portuguese, okay? Have a gorgeous night, Carol. I love you and appreciate you. And tell Bob we said hi. I think he's probably there too. And have a great night.
All right, bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you
Bye-bye.
very much.